The Las Vegas Raiders just pulled off the quietest and most aggressive rebuild in the entire NFL, and almost nobody is talking about it. While every major network was busy manufacturing drama around the number one overall pick, this front office was stacking the roster piece by piece with a level of precision that should genuinely scare the rest of the league. This is not a team hoping things work out, because this is an organization that went from 3 wins to building one of the most complete rosters in the AFC in a single offseason. You have Tom Brady in the front office and John Spytek running football operations with 0 leaks and 0 drama to distract from the work. Clint Kubiak installed as head coach brings a new scheme, and Maxx Crosby stayed put after the entire league thought he was gone, which changes the energy in the building immediately. An offensive line that went from giving up 64 sacks to having Pro Bowl talent at center and real competition at every single spot means the protection was fixed for the quarterback before anything else even started. Every piece of this offseason connects to something bigger because the weapons were added for the scheme and the defense was upgraded to keep games close. Yet none of it reaches its ceiling without the right arm behind center, and the scouting report that just dropped on Fernando Mendoza is the most important thing you will hear all offseason. There is one line in the evaluation that should make every single Raiders fan stop and read it twice because it confirms what Raider Nation has been hoping for all along from this rookie. There is one line in Greg Cosell's scouting report on Fernando Mendoza that should make every single Raiders fan stop and read it twice because strength of game is ball placement. He is precise with location on all throws, and that is the single most important trait a quarterback can carry into the NFL instead of just having a cannon for an arm. Anthony Richardson had all the physical tools in the world with the Indianapolis Colts, and they moved on because ball placement is what separates guys who start for a decade from guys who flame out in 3 years. Now, the media decided to create a controversy around the rookie name when Dan Orlovsky went on Get Up and told the world that Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in this draft class over an undefeated Heisman winner. Pat McAfee pressed him for actual reasons, and Mike Tannenbaum jumped on to say other teams share this opinion but gave 0 sources and 0 names to back up the claim. Adam Schefter said he believes Simpson will be a first-round pick based on conversations with front offices, and Chris Canty suggested the Raiders should auction off the number 1 overall pick without any new information. That level of noise proves the organization is locked in and quiet while Aiden O'Connell stays in the mix to compete through training camp alongside the new arrival. This protection only matters if you have somebody worth throwing to, and the Raiders found 2 weapons that flew completely under the radar while the rest of the NFL was chasing the big names. John Spytek moved to fix the protection the second free agency opened by making Tyler Linderbaum the highest paid interior offensive lineman in NFL history with a deal worth 3 years and $81 million. $60 million guaranteed is not a depth signing because that is a franchise saying we are never going through that again after giving up the worst number in the entire NFL last season. Linderbaum made 3 straight Pro Bowls with the Baltimore Ravens and has missed only 2 games in 4 NFL seasons with a pass block win rate at center sitting at 96.2%. He was a major reason Baltimore rushed for over 156 yards per game last year, and now he anchors the middle in Las Vegas, which pushes Jackson Powers-Johnson back to guard where he thrived as a starter during his first year. Add Caleb Rogers competing on the interior and DJ Glaze holding down a tackle spot, and suddenly this offensive line has real NFL starters across every position instead of guys being forced into roles they were never built for. Colton Miller at left tackle completes the group, and a new offensive scheme under Clint Kubiak does not matter if the quarterback is running for his life. This is the move that makes everything else work because a franchise signal caller at number 1 overall does not matter if he is getting hit on every snap before the season ends. The Raiders understood that, and they fixed it before anything else but protection only matters if you have somebody worth throwing to, which leads directly into the wide receiver room where value hunting became the priority. Jalen Nailor signed a 3-year deal worth $35 million with $23 million guaranteed, and most fans outside of Raider Nation barely noticed because he spent his career stuck behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison on the Minnesota Vikings depth chart. The quarterback situation in Minnesota went from Kirk Cousins to Sam Darnold to J.J. McCarthy with no real stability, and Nailor never got a fair shot to show what he could do on the field. And he grew up in Las Vegas and won multiple state championships at Bishop Gorman High School, and now comes home to a system where Kubiak wants to move his receivers all over the formation. Then there is Derek Young, who spent 4 seasons with the Seattle Seahawks playing mostly special teams and working directly under Kubiak when he was the offensive coordinator, so the connection is already there. Young is 6'2" and 224 pounds and ran a 4.44 40-yard dash and helped Seattle win Super Bowl 60 with his physical presence. His offensive reps have been limited, but Kubiak saw enough in practice and in that system to bring him along because neither of these signings will make a national headline. One of them is going to break out, and when that happens, this wide receiver room goes from question mark to legitimate threat. But the Odell Beckham Jr. buzz that popped up after his showing at Tom Brady flag football game is a different story. The name is legendary and the story is great, but the reality in 2026 is that OBJ did not play last season and would struggle to make this roster based on where the wide receiver room already stands. Still, none of it reaches its ceiling without the right arm behind center, but the defense was upgraded to keep games close, and that starts with a unit that just added 2 linebackers who change everything. Last season, the Las Vegas Raiders defense was already one of the best in the NFL at stopping the run with a top 5 ranking in yards allowed per carry, and that is elite level production from a group that was fighting with one hand tied behind its back. Now, picture what happens when you add 2 linebackers who do not just fill gaps, because they destroy everything that comes near them and read plays before they even develop. Quay Walker spent 4 years with the Green Bay Packers, so there is no guessing with this man because you know exactly what he brings with sideline to sideline speed and the ability to shed blocks in the open field. Then you add Nakobe Dean next to him, and Dean is the kind of player teams lose sleep over when he is lined up as a second-level blitzer who reads run plays like a book and blows them up for negative yardage. Now stack those 2 behind Maxx Crosby, Adam Butler, Tyree Wilson, and Kwity Paye on the defensive line, and you have a front 7 that can stuff the run and generate pressure from everywhere. A defensive front 7 that can stop the run and rush the passer and drop into coverage without missing a beat is exactly what this team needed to stay on the field longer. But stopping the run and rushing the passer only works if the secondary is locked in and Jeremy Chinn slides back to safety, where he made the Pro Bowl, while Taron Johnson locks down the nickel position to complete the unit. From top to bottom, this is not a rebuild based on hope, because this is a plan being executed, and Raider Nation has every reason to believe something special is coming from a defensive front that can control the middle. The draft is 30 days away with 6 picks in the first 4 rounds, and one name stands above the rest for a top 30 visit that could reshape the entire roster. Out of every prospect the Las Vegas Raiders have brought in for a top 30 visit this offseason, one name stands above the rest because Caden McDonald out of Ohio State is the most physically dominant defensive tackle in the entire 2026 draft class. Last season, McDonald ranked first in the country in run defense grade at 91.2 on PFF and first in run stops with 30, which are historic numbers for a player whose entire job is to control the middle. He finished with 65 total tackles and 9 tackles for loss and a fumble recovery across 14 games. And those are not just good numbers for a nose tackle. McDonald himself said it best because he welcomes double teams because it frees up his linebackers, and he wants to make everybody around him better, which is the exact mentality you need from an interior anchor in a 3-4 defense. The Raiders do not pick again until number 36 in the 2nd round, and there is no guarantee McDonald lasts that long. But bringing him in for a visit tells you the front office is doing its homework. With 10 total picks and 6 selections in the first 4 rounds, this draft could reshape the entire roster, and a potential trade back into the first round is not off the table. Every team that needs a physical presence in the middle wants this man, including the Bengals and Patriots and Texans and Dolphins and Commanders and Ravens and Bears, so the competition is real. But even beyond the draft board, there are still a few moves left on the table that could quietly complete this rebuild. And the running back room is the most obvious one to watch. Brian Robinson Jr. signed with the Atlanta Falcons, and he was the top free agent back left with direct ties to Clint Kubiak through the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, but that door is closed now. The remaining options include Nick Chubb and Najee Harris, who recently posted a video looking sharp after his Achilles recovery, and Raheem Mostert and Antonio Gibson. But finding the RB2 next to Ashton Genty on day 3 of the draft is the most likely path. Names like Emmett Johnson and Roman Hemby or Kalen Black are available late, and with roughly $10 million in cap space left after draft pool money, the team can be flexible. On the coaching side, the Raiders quietly hired quarterback coach Mike Sullivan, and that matters more than people realize, because Sullivan spent years with the Pittsburgh Steelers and brings a veteran development presence. Now, that will be critical for both Fernando Mendoza and Aiden O'Connell as they compete through training camp. And Tom Brady is not confused about his position because he is operating exactly the way he always has. He is quietly and selflessly and with total focus on winning, and the secondary is quietly becoming one of the most complete units in the conference, with Jeremy Chin and Taron Johnson leading the way. The organization went from 3 wins to building one of the most complete rosters in the AFC in a single offseason, and every piece connects to something bigger. This level of focus ensures that the final pieces fall into place without the noise that distracts other franchises around the league. The Las Vegas Raiders are so locked in and so quiet and so completely aligned, from Tom Brady to John Spytek to Clint Kubiak, that the media has nothing real to report and 0 leaks and 0 drama. That level of organizational discipline is exactly why this rebuild is different, because every single one of these takes came from the same network, and none of them were backed by a single piece of new information. Every piece of this offseason connects to something bigger, because the protection was fixed for the quarterback, and the weapons were added for the scheme, and the defense was upgraded to keep games close. The Las Vegas Raiders turned the worst offense in football into a roster that nobody in the NFL wants to face, and the media decided to create a controversy around the rookie name to distract from the work. That is the tell, because the front office is so aligned that they manufacture drama to fill the silence. But the reality is that this level of organizational discipline is exactly why what just happened at the Raiders facility proves they are doing everything right. This is a plan being executed, and Raider Nation has every reason to believe something special is coming from a group that is ready to finish what free agency started. Hit that like and subscribe button for more Raiders and all the NFL content, because we aim for 500 likes on this video to show the league we are ready. The protection was fixed, and the weapons were added, and the defense was upgraded to keep games close, and the draft is 30 days away with 6 picks in the first 4 rounds.